Hi, I'm Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I'm working on the Broken Star quilt, and I've started quilting, and I want to show you today how I'm doing the borders. Now this quilt has an inner border on the top and the bottom of the quilt, and then it has an outer border that goes all the way around the quilt, and this is what makes it into a rectangle, because traditionally a Broken Star quilt would be a square quilt, and this one is rectangular. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing these two borders, and then there'll be more videos coming on how I've quilted the rest of the quilt. So I hope you like it. I am starting with the outer border, and I'm going to quilt piano keys into this border. And I have two pounce pads here. I have the traditional large pounce pad, and then I have a homemade one, which I'm using in this shot. This is made from a medicine bottle, and I have my chalk powder inside it, and the end is covered with a thin piece of cotton batting and secured with a rubber band. And I like this one for times when I just want a little bit more control. Now the large pounce pad is great. It goes really fast, but on this one I wanted to use the smaller homemade version, and you can see that worked well. And I'm just going to chalk through the whole border. Now to quilt this, I'm using the channel lock on my machine, and I'm using the vertical channel lock. My machine has both a vertical and a horizontal channel lock, and of course on this I'm going to use the vertical one. So I turn that on when I'm quilting the actual piano key, and then I turn it off as I'm stitching in the ditch to get to the next line. And what this does, it keeps everything perpendicular and keeps it straight, and it doesn't take as much time. I found for myself, when I just use my ruler and try to space things using my ruler, it takes me quite a bit longer, and I just like this method better. Now to do the inner border, I'm going to do a feather swag, and I need to find the center mark of that border. So this is a 6-inch wide border, so I need a 3-inch wide, a 3-inch mark here, and I'm just using my chalk pencil and chalking that out. And I'm using that to line up the swirls ruler, and this is what I'm going to use for the spine of the feather. Now this ruler has a deep curve and it has a shallow curve, and I'm using the shallow one for this quilt. And I'm just going from one end to the other and marking that spine. Now the feathers are being quilted in manual mode, and the machine is at about 60% motor speed. And I started out in actual stitch regulated mode. It helps me get the feel for the quilt at that area and the feather, and once I get the feel for that, I usually just turn off the stitch regulator, turn it up the speed of the motor, and then quilt. Now I did learn how to quilt without a stitch regulator, so that's very familiar to me, and it's comfortable, so that's what I'm doing here. And you can see it, I don't look like I'm going very fast. The motor will sound like it's going really fast when you're up on 60%, but actually it's not any faster than what I would be doing if it was in stitch regulated mode. But I believe this helps me get a smoother feather, so that's why I like manual mode for this kind of quilting. Now I've done the top of the feather to the left of the center. This feather starts in the center and it goes out in both directions, and in the center I have a double heart quilted in there, and that is hand drawn in, and you can use anything in the center of your feather. You can do teardrops, you can do a circle, just whatever you like to put in there. And here's a little bit of a close-up of that part of the feather. And now I'm doing the bottom part of the feather. Once again, I'm in manual mode and just quilting the feathers in. And when my feathers get to about this point where they look like they feel like they want to just kind of lay down right up against that spine, I'll just quilt in a small feather, a short one, and then build the feathers up around that, and that helps get them back to where they're at a better angle towards the spine. And it also gives a little extra movement to the feather, makes it look a little more organic, and that's the look that I like for my feathers. So that side of the feather is done, and here I'll show you a little bit of a close-up of it here in just a second. Just move the machine out of the way. Now to remove those chalk marks, I have a lint brush that I use. You can also use your vacuum cleaner hose, just wrap a piece of cloth or a piece of nylon on the end of that and vacuum them up, or you can use a damp cloth. Now here's a close-up of that side of the feather, and there you can see the center where I have the heart drawn. Now I'm working on the bottom side of the right side of the feather, and you'll notice on these feathers that they're not all the same length. They don't reach out to the same point, and that is to give the feather a little more motion and make it look a little more organic. And that's just the look that I wanted for this particular feather. To make it look more formal, you would have them all reaching to the same point on the quilt there. And here's the completed feather, and you can see the two hearts that I have in the center, and those I just hand drew in and then quilted over top of them. And as soon as I get this camera into focus, there you can see it a little bit better now. And there's a little bit of the feather that is completed. And you can see the piano keys in that upper border, and they highlight that feather real nice. So I hope this gave you a couple of ideas on how to quilt piano keys and a feather swag, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.